It was hard for me and my friends to decide on a fun place to go last year, but it wasn't until my friend Logan mentioned a girl he knew from New Orleans. We all decided it could be really fun, plus the three of us were able to save money, as his friend Maya was letting us stay with her. We were all really excited, as this was the last trip we were going to be able to do together before a lot of us moved to a different city. We planned to stay for 2 weeks, and the first few days were normal and filled with a lot of drinks and food. Initially, we were getting along really well, and then Maya and one of our friends, Caitlin, started getting on each other's nerves. They kind of clashed, I guess, as people, and I suppose living in close quarters wasn't helping. Then, things started getting weird. Caitlin started feeling sick and would have to stay back while the rest of us went out to explore. She lost a hairbrush and some random articles of clothing. Around that time, we saw less of Maya, but that's because she was spending time at a friend of hers, probably because she didn't want to spend any more time with Caitlin. Some time went on, and she wasn't getting any better. We were getting really scared at this point, so we took her to the hospital. She stayed there for a night or two, and then felt better, so she got out. Not even a few hours later, she was ill again. At this point, it was nearing the end of our trip, so we decided to try and make the best of it, and then we would see her doctor when we get back home. That night, we were having some drinks outside, and Caitlin was sitting out with us, but was kind of looking bad, so I mentioned maybe she should go rest. She did, and we continued hanging out. Maya eventually showed up. At some point in the night, one of us went to go check on Caitlin, and she wasn't in bed. In fact, she wasn't in the house at all. All of her things were still around in the house, so we started calling out her name around the street and the yard. While looking around, our friend Matt had found some of Caitlin's missing things, but they were in Maya's room. The cops were called, and an investigation started on a missing person. It's been 6.5 years since that trip, and we still don't have any answers as to where she is, or if she's even still alive. Matt had a really bad feeling that Maya had answers that we didn't, but she was brought in by police and was never charged with anything. Maybe things were a coincidence, or maybe there was something more going on. It was the middle of March, and I was looking forward to my spring break trip with my friends. We had decided to rent a cabin in the mountains for the week, hoping to unwind and relax away from the hustle and bustle of our everyday lives. Little did we know that this spring break trip would turn out to be one of the scariest experiences of our lives. When we got to the cabin, we all noticed how quiet it was, and it kind of freaked me out initially. We were surrounded by nothing but endless woods. It took us over an hour to get there from any main road. We gathered around the fireplace, toasting marshmallows and sharing ghost stories. It was all in good fun until we heard a loud crash coming from the kitchen. We all jumped to our feet, our hearts absolutely pounding out of our chests. A few of us grabbed some random large objects as makeshift weapons in case it was an animal or a break-in. We made our way into the kitchen, just to find that it was completely empty. There was no sign of what had caused this noise. As we tried to shake off the feeling of unease, we decided to turn in for the night. I laid in bed that night for hours, tossing and turning, listening to the sound of wind howling outside. Just as I was about to drift off to sleep, I heard footsteps in the hallway. I froze, my heart pounding out of my chest. I called out to my friends, but I didn't get a response. I summoned up the courage to investigate, grabbing a flashlight, slowly making my way to the source of the sound. The hallway was dark. The only light was coming from the moon shining through the window. I felt a cold breeze on my neck, and I could swear I heard whispering all around me. I shone my flashlight down the hallway, but couldn't see anything. I eventually got so scared that I ran back to the safety of my room, locking the door behind me. I swear I could hear something outside my door, like footsteps getting louder and louder. I felt like I was going to pass out from fear when suddenly everything went silent. I stayed in my room, too terrified to sleep, until morning came. When I finally mustered up the courage to leave my room, I found my friends gathered in the living room. It was then that they had told me they had really uncomfortable experiences last night as well. Different, but had things happen, like hearing noises outside of their doors and horrible nightmares. We decided to leave the cabin immediately, not wanting to spend another minute in that haunted place. We basically packed all of our things and ran to our cars, speeding away from the cabin as fast as we could. To this day, we still talk about that spring break trip and that eerie experience we had in the cabin. We never found out what or who was haunting that place, but one thing is for sure, we will never forget the fear we felt that night.